We'll make it up time.
Do I vote? No.
Honorable Steve Arvizo,
Green.
with the chair, 2 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you, Mr. Mose. With that, legislation 259-24 passes. And apparently this is the final authority. So that legislation goes forth. Congratulations to the committee or the person responsible for sponsoring this and the agencies that are going to receive the funding.
Yes.
Thank you, and that's it.
Okay, great. Well, congratulations, judicial branch legislation number 0259-24 does pass. We now proceed to item new business B. Lorraine, there's a typo. You have A on here, so it's B. This is for discussion purposes on legislation number 0260-24. This is just as a recap, committee members. This was a legislation that went on the consent agenda last week during NABI. And it is an action that is relating to the NABI committee that confirms the speaker's appointment to the Emergency Management Commission. Before I proceed forward with the reason why this is on the discussion topic, can I get a motion in a second?
All motion.
Okay, motion made by Delegate Nathan Nota, second
here.
by Delegate Stephen Arvizo. Committee members, so if you'll notice now, item number 6, it does have a Delegate Shauna Claw as the elected official appointee. I did have an issue with this as Delegate Claw served on the Resource and Development Committee. I had a conversation with Speaker and felt like it should have been a Law and Order Committee member that should have been appointed, to this commission. Speaker never sent out a email asking delegates if they were interested. She made the appointment, I guess, on her own. So when I asked her why she didn't bring it to the attention of the Law and Order Committee, her response was that Delegate Claw was interested in being on the commission, so she just went ahead and she appointed her. I felt like this should have been brought to the attention of Law and Order Committee, and we should have at least been given that opportunity to nominate somebody from the Law and Order Committee, since we do oversee emergency management, and that it should have been an LOC committee member who should have been on this commission. So that's the reason why I'm bringing it to the attention of the Law and Order Committee. If there is any Law and Order Committee member who is interested in being in this commission, what I can do, and I did talk to Speaker already about it, is we can call this legislation back to make the to make an amendment for an LOC member to be added onto this commission and to wishes to serve on the Emergency Management Commission. Currently, the people who have been appointed: Johnny Johnson, the Civil Defense Law Enforcement appointee; Daryl Dan Yazzie, First Aid Health appointee; McCarlo Roanhorse, Firefighting appointee; Eugenia Quintana, Environmental appointee; Mahayo Manus, Broadcast and Print Media appointee; and then Delegate Shauna Claw, elected official appointee. The Emergency Management Commission, this is the first time that such a commission has been put together. Their purpose is to coordinate emergency and disaster relief services by the Navajo Nation and non-tribal entities, together with the Navajo Department of Emergency Management. Again, because LOC oversees all of the first responders, I think it would just serve right if an LOC member was appointed under the elected official appointee. Are there any questions?
I agree with you that we should have at least been consulted, because when there's been emergency situations in the past, they come here to us, chapters come here to us, Law and Order Committee, requesting for help and assistance. And it would only seem sensible for somebody from Law and Order to be on this commission, just so that we know what's going on. And I think, she should have, consulted with this group before we went forward. Before she went forward. Unfortunately, my part, I'm just involved in too many things. I don't think I'll be able to serve on the commission. I don't know how Mr. Rizzo feels.
Delegate Urbizo.
Madam Chair, good morning. Thank you, Delegate Nota. On this case, I thought, but I always feel that way though. There's a lot of things that I think the Speaker's office needs to make the delegates aware of throughout the whole year, not just this one time. But it is a learning process, but you know, sometimes it creates these types of problems when you don't involve everybody. In that we have to correct things, and that's one thing that I really disagree on. But I do work with this emergency management team. I did work on their plan of operation and all that, so I'm aware of these guys. So, and they do always come to us. I remember when, I think now, who's the director over there, Miss Sandoval? Yeah, so I know her, and I've known Miss Small Canyon and then all the directors that were put through there, Rory and all those guys. So, but so, if if we need somebody from Law and Order, I'll be willing to sit on that committee. Because it is you know, I was a 12-year chapter official, yeah. So I know I kind of have an idea what type of emergencies happen at a chapter level. And who calls these emergencies, who has that authority to call these emergencies and get woods to people, grade roads, and try to help the community. So I'm pretty familiar with that function or that aspects of the emergency, when a local emergency declaration at the chapter level. So, I'm aware of. I mean, I'm not the smartest one in this room, but. And that's why I was a chapter official for 12 years. No, I had a good time being a chapter official. We had a real good team, and we always help people. We've always helped a lot of folks with winter, and we are going to get winter. Make no mistake about it, it's coming. We might snow all the way to March, April this time, but it's coming. So, Madam Chair. Oh, and then, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. The other thing I wanted to, I wished Miss Sandoval or somebody from that department was here, then I would ask them questions on it, but since they're not here. Because this is just all appointments. Madam Chair.
Okay, so thank you for that, Delegate Urbizo. What I'll do is I'll work with Speaker on this. So again, I've already had a conversation with Speaker. When I saw the legislation, I was under the impression that, that maybe I missed an email where she was making the announcement that there would be an elected official that would be appointed to this commission. So I went back and I looked for the email, and then when I finally approached her, she said, "Oh, I didn't send out an email. I just went ahead and I did an appointment." And so I did tell her that if the LOC does make a recommendation for one of the LOC members to be part of this commission, that we're going to go back and we're going to amend this legislation. And she just said, okay. So she said, that's fine. So I'll go ahead and I'll work with Speaker on this, and then we can proceed for Delegate Urbizo.
Madam Chair, I'm wondering if this 6 is the cutoff. Maybe I can just be number 7.
There you go. We can do that. I can talk to
That
Speaker.
way, we have 2 delegates on there. because, Delegate Claude did have a disaster in her area. Was it last year?
Yeah,
With all that flooding, and it'd be interesting to find out or to know that. It's odd. I don't know if those berms have been built
Yeah.
up and fixed. Those are some of the things that I would like to know. And we did have a meeting out there before, and that's why I know. Madam Chair.
okay. I'll talk to speaker about it and I'll come back and I'll report back to this committee. So with that, committee members, we had a motion and a second. Motion was made by Delegate Nota, second was made by Delegate Stephen Arvizo. Are there any other questions, any other comments regarding the discussion purposes for legislation number 0260-24? Delegate Nota?
I have a question
Mhm.
for Carlo. How often do you guys meet and what's kind of the most intense circumstances you've met on, just real quick?
Thank you, Delegate Nota, for the question. Again, I thank you, delegates, for bringing this forward. To answer your question, Delegate, so the individuals who recently were appointed, they will be having their first meeting here shortly. Right now, we did send a notice over to the emergency management to inform them of who the new commissioners were. The previous commissioners, there was only 3 active members. So if one didn't show, they didn't have a quorum. So a majority of the time, the last time they actually met was during the Shiprock incident. It's the last time that they met. Other than that, the Commission on Emergency Management has not called for a meeting due to just having, what I was informed by the commission was that they didn't have the support. They needed more commissioners because they were always lacking a quorum. And so with the new incoming commissioners, it should make it a little bit easier for the commission to maintain a quorum. And I know that the current commissioners, they are calling for a meeting, but we just got to make sure that all the documents are aligned, and then they can start proceeding forward. So right now, we anticipate at least a week or 2 before there's a first meeting that's called. But I did take note to address recommendations made by LOC that Chair Gina Charles Newman will be working with Speaker to make this recommendation for the appointment. So I did notate that. Also modifying the plan of operation to include an additional seat can also be made at the discretion of any delegate. So again, those are just processes that you would have to follow, but would also make those recommendations to the Office of Legal Counsel. But other than that, thank you for your question. I hope I answered it.
One more question.
Go ahead, Delegate Nota.
What actual authority does this commission have and who do you actually oversee?
Thank you, Delegate Nota. So this commission, the authority they have is to determine if the nation needs to be declared an emergency. It could be natural disaster, it could be a various variety of things. And there's no really direct oversight. They just declare an emergency. They that's their primary goal.
Okay.
And they outline exactly what emergency is being declared and how the commission will provide guidance and outlines on how situations should be handled. So the commission really is supposed to be a focal point to provide guidance to the nation, guidance to the commission, the emergency management as far as networking. So that's primarily their primary responsibilities in their respective areas of appointment. So that's to answer your question about the part.
Is there a chair to this commission?
Second.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, so they do appoint a chair. So when they convene, what the commission will do is they will appoint a chair and also I believe it's a clerk. And those are the 2 standing roles for those positions. And that takes place by action of the commission. And it's just the same roles as far as how the chairperson will be responsible for setting the agenda, calling the meetings. And then the clerk will be responsible for maintaining the minutes and writing the resolutions. So that's the primary role.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No more questions.
All right, any other questions, committee members? Okay, not hearing anything, we'll go ahead and, oh, go ahead, Doug Arvizo.
So this is why I needed, I wish that the emergency management was here so we could ask these questions, because if the commission declares an emergency, where does the authority of the Navajo Nation president come in with it?
Or the chapters.
Also, the chapter, so the president can also declare a local emergency. So what is that? I'm just kind of thinking, where does the authority, where are the authorities? You know, it sounds like there's three now. There's the commission, there's the president, commission, and the chapters. I'd like to see, we can request a, like a, what do they call those, I can't think this morning, like a little box where they say,
Hierarchy,
president. yeah, like flow chart, there you go, thank you. I'd like to see one of those from, Department of Emergency Management and see where the president and the chapter officials, where they sit, and then the commission. Cause, like I said, the president at the local chapter can declare an emergency by resolution. And then, the president, the Navajo Nation also declares an emergency. So I'd like to know those authorities. So when we declare an emergency and the president hasn't declared an emergency, are we just recommending there should be an emergency? It sounds that way, but I'd like to get that type of information from Department of Emergency Management, Madam Chair.
I think those are some really good questions. So what we can do, Delegate Arvizo, is we can call speaker before us to explain the legislation, since she was the sponsor of the legislation, and really get that breakdown of information in terms of the way that whole thing is going to, I guess, be working, because it's not even in the legislation. So we can definitely do that. So, Lorraine, if we could go ahead and add this back onto the agenda, maybe for the after winter session, only because speaker's gonna be busy getting ready, gearing up for winter session. So if we can add this onto a Law and Order Committee meeting after winter session to have further discussions on 0260-24, really just kind of how it's gonna work. And then maybe at that time, we can ask if we can add a seventh member to that, to the legislation. Are there any other questions or comments at this time, committee members? Okay, Mose, can you assist us with roll call vote?
Roll call vote for discussion purpose on legislation number 026024. Honorable. Thank you, Bill.
Green.
Steve Arvizo.
Green.
I'm sure you have two favors that are opposed.
2 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, 1 member, Law and Order Committee is excused, Delegate Herman Daniels, 1 is absent, Vice Chair Yazzie. For discussion purposes, item 7B, we have now addressed that issue. We are now at item number 8, close of the meeting. This is probably the fastest Law and Order Committee meeting that we had one before. It was a faster one before. So, are there any announcements, committee members? I do have an announcement. I don't know how you guys want to address this. We do have a, work session that is scheduled for the 30th. However, I just found out that I have a court hearing on the 30th. I don't know if you guys recall, there is a person who's been stalking me and, So we're requesting for the extension of the, protection order. So we have a hearing scheduled on the 30th. So I won't be here on the 30th. And with Vice Chair not being here today, I can't guarantee that she'll be able to take the meeting on the 30th. So, if you guys have no objections, I'd like to cancel that work session and postpone it to another day.
That's fine.
Okay, Kelly or Arvizo, are we good with that?
Yes, that's fine.
Lorraine, will go ahead and we'll put that on the discussion item at the next Law and Order Committee meeting on the agenda so that we can talk about that, item. And then if you can send out a message to all the LLC members, letting them know that we're not gonna have that work session on the 30th. And again, I apologize, but that was the court's, choice of scheduling it that day. Okay, committee members, that's the only thing that I have aside from, we do have right after this at 1 o'clock, we will have our work session on communication and then the data work session. And then we have chapter inaugurations that begin January 6th. We also have the entire week of January 13th. Things going on in Phoenix. January 14th is Arizona opening day for the legislature. January 15th is the Indian Nation and Tribes Legislative Day. January 16th is the Indian Gaming Conference. And January 17th, we have a gaming meeting. So that whole week will more than likely be in Phoenix. Then we start winter council session the week of January 27th. Delegate Arvizo, just an FYI, we did schedule a gaming meeting on January 31st at Twin Arrows. Remember, we had that gaming meeting this past week. And so that is what is going on. So committee members, are there any announcements that you have to make at this time? New Mexico opening day, since we're all New Mexico delegates, is January 21st, the day after Martin Luther King Jr. Day. No word has been given to us, at least on the Indian Gaming Day, or I'm sorry, the Indian Legislative Day, the Tribal Legislative Day for New Mexico. We just got the Arizona one. We haven't got any information from Utah as well. And as Law and Order Committee members, we can attend all three, since we do request funding from the states for public safety facility buildings. Okay, since there's no other announcements, committee members, anybody wants to make a motion and a second to adjourn? Motion made by Delegate Stephen Arvizo.
Second.
Second made by Delegate Nathan Nota. Mose, can you assist us with roll call vote for adjournment at 10:37?
Roll call vote for adjournment at 10:37 a.m. I will be Agent Nota.
Agreed.
At 9.
No, green.
Thank you for that, Mose. So with that, committee members, we are hereby adjourned at 10:37 with a vote of 2 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Our work session does begin at 1 o'clock today.
And I'll be on Zoom.
Yes,
Same here.
Zoom, yes.
All right, great.
I will be here, so the other delegates will be not here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but they'll be on Zoom. They'll be on Zoom.